Imagine the scene. It is August 5th, 2010, in the barren, bone-dry expanse of the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. The afternoon sun beats down mercilessly on the jagged hills surrounding the San José copper-gold mine, a deep geological wound that has been actively harvested for over a century. Our main characters are 33 professional miners, individuals of extreme physical endurance, descending into the dark belly of the earth for a routine 12-hour shift. Inside the deep labyrinth of tunnels, the air is thick with dust, diesel fumes, and the constant heavy hum of drilling machinery. The central figure of this underground unit is Luis Urzua, a 54-year-old shift supervisor with a highly disciplined technical mindset. Visualize Urzua checking his logs as the miners spread across the lower levels, nearly 2,300 feet beneath the desert floor. The power dynamic is an absolute submission to the structure of the mountain. This is the primary behavioral data point, an entire crew working deep inside a geological system that lacks a secondary automated safety exit or reinforced structural escape ladders. The archive is open. The timeline of the total environmental ambush of the San José mine begins with a sudden, deep tremor that vibrates through the rock walls. Technical density expansion. The San José mine featured a single spiral ramp system extending over 5 miles into the earth. The structural integrity of the mine had been heavily compromised by decades of aggressive excavation, leaving massive, unreinforced stone pillars supporting millions of tons of unstable volcanic shale directly above the active mining zones. The clock moves toward 2 p.m. deep inside the lower tunnels. A sudden, terrifying kinetic failure shatters the silence. The main ventilation shaft suffers an immediate structural collapse, followed by a massive chain reaction fracture of the mountain's core. A solid block of diorite rock, equivalent in weight to a 70-story skyscraper, breaks away from the main fault line and crashes straight down through the center of the mine. The impact is a violent, seismic shockwave that registers as a minor earthquake on regional detectors. Imagine the scene. Blinding clouds of white dust explode through the tunnels, completely deleting all visibility as the roaring wind of the collapse knocks the miners to the ground. This is a total mechanical blockade. The massive stone block slides into place across the main ramp, sealing the exit with over 700,000 tons of solid rock. In less than 3 minutes, 33 human components are completely isolated from the outside world, trapped inside a subterranean prison with zero physical communication lines to the surface. Technical density expansion. The kinetic energy released by the collapse was calculated to be equivalent to a low-yield industrial detonation. The falling mass completely pulverized the central ramp assembly between levels 300 and 400, destroying the internal electrical grid and the main freshwater pipelines, leaving the lower chambers completely dependent on their localized emergency survival resources. Luis Urzua immediately initiates a crisis protocol, gathering all 33 miners into a small, reinforced emergency refuge room located at the bottom of the mine. This is the ultimate behavioral test. The space is a cramped, dark vault with an ambient temperature of 35 degrees Celsius and a stifling 90% humidity. The primary technical asset is a tiny, localized survival stash designed to sustain a small crew for only 48 hours. Urzua conducts a clinical audit of the resources: a few cans of tuna, a small amount of milk, and some crackers. He establishes a severe rationing loop, allocating a single teaspoon of fish and a sip of milk to each man every 48 hours. This is a deliberate mechanical recalibration of human metabolism to delay biological exclusion. The power dynamic shifts entirely to an internal battle against starvation and the invisible depletion of oxygen. For 17 days, the outside world assumes the miners are dead, a total historical and communication void that leaves 33 ghosts waiting in the dark silence of the deep earth. Technical density expansion. The emergency refuge featured no active ventilation mechanics, relying entirely on the natural atmospheric volume of the surrounding lower drifts, which totaled roughly 2 kilometers of open tunnel. The metabolic carbon dioxide output of 33 adult males required a continuous chemical diffusion through the porous rock walls to prevent the ambient air from reaching a lethal 4% hypercapnic threshold. On the surface, a massive international engineering dragnet is mobilized to locate the missing crew. Rescue teams deploy heavy exploratory drill rigs, boring thin, vertical holes blindly into the desert floor, searching for trace of life across a massive 3-dimensional coordinate grid. For over 2 weeks, drill after drill misses the target, hitting solid rock or empty, collapsed pockets. But on August 22nd, the 17th exploratory probe breaks through the ceiling of a lower tunnel near the refuge. Imagine the scene down below. The miners hear the mechanical grinding of the drill tip and tap on the metal pipe with hammers to send a kinetic signal. When the rescue engineers pull the drill steel back to the surface, they discover a small piece of paper taped to the tip, written in bold red ink. The message reads, "Estamos bien en el refugio los 33. We are well in the refuge, the 33. This is the definitive behavioral rastro." The total deletion of hope is instantly reversed by a single line of text, transforming the rescue operation from a recovery audit into a high-stakes mechanical race against time. Technical density expansion. The exploratory borehole was drilled using a high-velocity diamond-tipped rotary bit to a precise depth of exactly 2,257 feet. The alignment of the probe required a specialized directional survey tool to correct for a 3-degree structural drift caused by the changing density of the subterranean volcanic strata, achieving a precision intercept within 5 meters of the refuge target. The thin borehole becomes a vital logistical lifeline, a literal umbilical cord connecting the subterranean vault to the upper world. The rescue teams drop narrow plastic capsules, nicknamed palomas, doves, down the tube to deliver high-calorie nutrient gels, clean water, and communication wires to the miners. This is a technical intervention that stabilizes the biological components down below. Imagine the scene inside the refuge as the first video camera is lowered down the pipe, transmitting live images of 33 gaunt, bearded men blinking in the sudden light of the lens. Their bodies have lost an average of 20 pounds each, but their structural discipline remains perfectly intact under Urzua's command. The engineers split the technical plan into 3 independent operations, Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, utilizing different heavy industrial drilling technologies to bore a wider, human-sized shaft capable of extracting the men from the deep rift before the shifting mountain collapses again. Technical density expansion. The Paloma capsules were constructed from high-impact PVC piping measuring 4 inches in diameter, designed to minimize friction along the rough interior walls of the borehole. The communication line utilized a specialized fiber optic video link that allowed medical teams on the surface to monitor the miners' vital signs, tracking skin degradation patterns and localized fungal infections brought on by the continuous hyperhumid environment. To execute the final extraction, Chilean naval engineers designed a specialized, custom escape capsule named the Fénix. Visualize this machine, a narrow steel cylinder painted in the colors of the Chilean flag, measuring just 21 inches in diameter and 10 feet in length. The capsule features a reinforced mesh roof to protect the occupant from falling rocks, an independent oxygen supply, and an array of small wheels along the exterior walls to smooth the transit up the rough stone shaft. The power dynamic is a total mechanical dependency. A single miner is strapped into this metal cage and pulled vertically through 2,300 feet of solid rock by a heavy hydraulic winch. The clearance between the capsule and the borehole walls is less than 2 inches in some sectors, a tight, unyielding friction zone where any structural shift of the mountain could wedge the capsule permanently, trapping the passenger in an absolute claustrophobic dead zone. Technical density expansion. The Fénix capsule was engineered with a dual redundant release mechanism at the base, allowing the miner inside to manually lower themselves back down to the bottom if the winch assembly suffered a mechanical failure or jam during the vertical ascent. The external rollers were backed by high-tensile nitrogen shock absorbers to mitigate the continuous lateral impact forces generated as the capsule negotiated the minor deviations of the drilled shaft. The final extraction sequence begins on October 12, 2010, under the intense glare of global media cameras. The first rescue technician drops down the shaft inside the Fénix, stepping out into the lower chamber to greet the applauding miners. This is a clinical masterclass in logistical execution. One by one, the miners are loaded into the cylinder, their eyes covered with specialized sunglasses to prevent permanent retinal sabotage from the intense desert sun after 69 days of absolute darkness. The winch spins continuously for over 22 hours, a repetitive, flawless mechanical loop that defies the immense pressure of the surrounding geology. Imagine the crescendo of emotion as Luis Urzua, the final miner and commander of the lower grid, steps out of the capsule onto the surface, reporting to the president of Chile, "We have completed our shift. This is the moment of total identification and recovery." 69 days of subterranean erasure end in a perfect, zero-casualty rescue loop. Technical density expansion. The vertical transit time for each miner averaged 15 minutes, utilizing a constant winch speed of 1 meter per second. The mechanical cables were subjected to continuous non-destructive magnetic testing throughout the 22-hour operation to monitor for internal wire strand fatigue or structural elongation under the continuous 5-ton load cycle. The final minute-by-minute forensic reconstruction of Dossier 33 ends here. 33 lives pulled from the deep jaws of a collapsed mountain by a global engineering dragnet and a legendary display of human organizational discipline, leaving the empty San José mine as a silent monument to a geological battle. The trace left by the Chilean miners is an enduring lesson in the severe power of structured leadership and precision logistics to overcome the absolute exclusion of the environment. The biological facts are immutable: a mountain that snapped in two, a teaspoon of fish that sustained a crew for 17 days, and a steel capsule that beat the laws of deep earth confinement. The subterranean vault remains the definitive case study in extreme rescue mechanics and hyper-isolated group survival metrics. Your mind is the final piece of this investigation. Join our community of investigators by clicking the subscribe button. Help us track the traces that the deep earth and time try to lock away in their dark chambers. I am your guide through the darkness, and I will return with a new dossier very soon. Keep your mind sharp. Focus on the facts with your eyes closed. And remember, no matter how deep the trap, there is always a coordinate out, and every evidence counts. This is Mind 74, and we are the keepers of the cold files. The investigation is suspended, but the file remains open. Until next time. Technical density expansion. The San José mine file resulted in a complete structural overhaul of international subterranean safety protocols, enforcing the mandatory installation of automated digital telemetry arrays and reinforced, independent emergency refuge bases with 3-month life support loops across all high-consequence mining facilities globally.